Hello and welcome to episode number 5 of Wonky Priorities. Today we're going to be going through a little bit about diet, nutrition, what I've changed personally over the years, and what some simple stuff that you can do to allow yourself to eat better. As I said, we're going to go through diet. I asked my dad to be on this podcast and he pleasantly declined. He was just being pretty miserable, to be honest with you. So anyway, it's just me. The acoustics in here is not ideal, but we're doing what we can for the time being. Hopefully you like my green light. And for you Spotify listeners, I'm going to try my best to make this as good of an experience for you guys as physically possible. I do forget that you can't see what I'm doing, so if I'm messing about with my equipment, all you can hear is silence and me swearing. So I'm going to try and do my best at what I am quite good at, which is talking endlessly. So the first thing that we're going to go through is what constitutes as a good diet nowadays. Now, there's a lot more, it used to be a lot harder to find actual good quality content, good quality literature, or good quality actual advice on diet. And this is why people, struggle with their diet a lot, because there's not actually a lot out there, or there wasn't until recently, about the benefits of switching up some of your food to, more natural, more less processed, less refined ingredients or foods in general. And a lot of the time it's due down to ease, down to lack of knowledge, lack of ability to cook. But a lot of these things, like I like cooking, I feel like I'm a good cook, but I don't use almost 80% of any of my cookery skills when I'm making what I make for my day-to-day or week-to-week sort of stuff. So the first couple of things that I've said is obviously processed. I will be looking to my right because I've got a list of my stuff there. We're going to do diet, then we're going to go into a word and a concept that I feel is, very... I think about it quite a lot, and it came up the other day on like this word app that I've signed up to try and be better at these podcasts, but also to learn a little bit more. And a word came up, and it's something that I think about all the time, so I'm going to talk about it with you. I'm going to go through my sub 20, which hopefully you know about through my Instagram, and then we're going to go through current events, because I liked the current events last time, and some of you guys don't actually look at the news, because neither do I. It's actually quite scary now. I've started looking at the news for this podcast, and the world seems to be falling apart and it's all a big joke. So let's get into this. So the first word or keyword that we want to stay away from, or that you want to understand, is what processed foods are. Now, a lot of people, when I was doing my coaching, I would say, right, let's go for some chicken. Okay, meaning chicken breast, pure chicken breast. And some people would come back with like chicken tenders covered in, breadcrumbs, or even chicken dippers, and it's like, no, we want to be as raw, as pure as physically possible. Processed chicken is not chicken. You do not get anywhere the same benefits of the protein. You don't even know what's in it most of the time. And if you have a chicken nugget or even a chicken tender dip or whatever, and you put it next to a chicken breast and you look to the ingredients, instead of one being chicken breast meat, the chicken dipper would be probably 20 to 25, maybe even more than that, ingredients for preservatives, for additives, and the protein intake, or the protein that you would actually get from it, is abysmal compared to the actual chicken breast. The main thing, and I just explained it there, to look at for processed food is amount of ingredients. If you look at something, I want you to start looking at this when you're food shopping. Look on the back of stuff. If there's a load of ingredients, and a lot of them are called emulsifiers, oils that you haven't heard of, chemicals that you can't even pronounce, put it down. It's not worth it. There is always something that you can do or buy or make that is going to be better for you, that is so much more natural. How do you think your fucking ancestors, I'm not gonna swear, I'm gonna bleep that out. How do you think your ancestors or your grandparents got through life, right? The amount of overweight and obese people in the UK has skyrocketed. I've got some sort of, I'll put something up here, has skyrocketed in the last 30 to 40 years because of the influx of processed foods, E-numbers, sugars, refined sugars in all of our food. And you're fucking lazy as well, right? I swore again. Bloody hell. So the main thing that you need to be thinking of when you're, developing your food shop or in the shops, thinking of what you're going to have for your dinners, the main thing that I want you to be thinking of is keep it simple. Stupid. So the more ingredients, the more you're going to be causing yourself, harm when it comes to creating meals on two fronts. Firstly, the more ingredients that you buy and that is to be prepared for a meal, the more resistance there is for you actually to do it, other than to have a ready meal, to have a takeaway, to not have it, to just have something that is obviously not going to be beneficial for you. The stuff that's in the fridge gets left, the vegetables get left, you don't cook them, they end up then going out mouldy, making your fridge stink, whatever, right? And on the second front is a lot of these ingredients have a lot of E-numbers, have a lot of, again, additives, and they're processed. They've gone through processes that are, that have, there's multiple ingredients within one process to create it into this, and then there's multitude of these that create the product that you're eating. You want to basically strip it down to the bare bones of, natural ingredients as much as physically possible. So anything with granulated sugar, this is slightly separate actually. I'm going to go through actual, processed, animal products, fruit, stuff like that. And then in another video, I'm actually going to do a versus, so a processed day of what, not exaggerating it and all this sort of stuff, just a normal day that is not thinking about natural foods or unprocessed, and then unprocessed food, and some switches that you can make, that you can then implement into your diet and into your sort of lifestyle. It doesn't have to be every single meal, it doesn't have to be all the snacks, there's going to be pre-workouts and all this sort of stuff. But what will happen is, even if you can do 1 or 2 or 50% of what I'm telling you, you will feel better, you'll have better energy, and you will actually, you'll gain a lot from doing that. It doesn't have to be every single day, it doesn't have to be 100%. I'm not 100%, no, not many people are actually 100% on non-processed, but it is very, very beneficial to start, doing these practices and taking some advice from someone like myself who has, trust me, I've eaten crap, and I've found what works for me. I eat till I'm full. My friends call me fat boy because I used to eat till I was full with bad stuff. Now I eat till I'm full with good stuff, and you see what I'm saying? Lean. I eat loads of food. I eat more than you do, and I look like this. I'll try not to be big-headed, but I'm just saying, I eat a lot of food, and you're like, but you eat loads of food, your calories must be through the roof. No, because I'm eating good quality food that is simple and doesn't have loads of ingredients, and my body can break down very easily because they're natural, they're found in nature. Whereas what you're eating is not found in nature that I get out of the ground with my tractor, right? What you're eating is chemicals. And don't get me started on vaping. Fuck. If you vape, it's a Chinese oil, who knows what that's made out of, to make it taste like fucking unicorn ballsack, right? And then you're lighting it electronically, not even with a flame, electronically heating the oil to create a vapor, or to create whatever the fuck vape is, vapor, yep, that probably makes sense. And you're sucking it into your lungs and blowing it out in different shapes and sizes. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, that we've gone off on a tangent, obviously. So anything with granulated sugars, try and stay away from regularly. The first thing that you can do if you're trying to better your health, is to reduce the amount of granulated sugar. If you have teas and coffees and you put 1, 2, I used to put like 4 sugars in, that is not great for you, right? It's an easy switch. You can switch it out with honey. You can switch it out with like, I'm not even going to say like 0-calorie drops, because that stuff's made out of unnatural chemicals as well, or ingredients, whatever. The best one to do is honey. The cheap honey is not actually real honey. It's just like a syrup that's sort of mixed up with loads of different honeys. If you want to start to be really healthy, buy like a good quality honey, or a set honey, or one that's from a farm shop. Those ones are real honey. You can taste the difference, and they'll sweeten up anything. So I used to put sugar on my cereals. I used to put sugar in my coffee and tea. I don't drink tea because that's for boys. But in my coffee, I now put honey in there. It does the same thing. And I put honey on my Weetabix. For example, I had Weetabix this morning for the first time in months. But I had honey on it. Makes such a big difference. And the granulated sugar is just not good for you. It's just not good for you. But anyway, that's just a side note. The first thing that you can potentially do is to switch that out and to stop having granulated sugar. Something that you can also do is you got to think of what do you normally make and that has loads of sugar in it. Cookies. My little brother made cookies last night. Cakes, pastries, anything that has lots of sugar in it or that is made with sugar. Try and reduce the amount that you're eating a week of that food or of that thing, so that you can reduce the amount of sugar that you're intaking, because at the end of the day, sugar is the devil. We'll do another video on sugar at some point, but I don't want to get too in depth. I don't want to scare you off. Now, animal products, when I go through non-processed, so that's all the processed stuff. The non-processed stuff is animal products. Now, I've banged on about this, if you follow me for a while, about animal products for so long, but anything that you would find in nature. Your grandparents, before the World War, right? They didn't have processed foods, right? Think of a farmer. Think of if you were to make all the food that you could eat, what can you think of? You're probably like, I could grow cheese strings. No, you can't grow cheese strings, you fucking idiot. You can have, I need to stop swearing. You'd have vegetables. You'd have so starchy veg like carrots and potatoes. You'd have green veg. You'd have salady veg, lettuce, tomatoes. You would also have not tomato ketchup. You absolute buffoon. You could also then have you could keep chickens, so you could have lay eggs, and also you could then have the protein from the chicken. Not that you've got that many chickens to be at a chicken every 2 seconds, but you see where I'm going. You've got any animal protein. So if an animal has died and you are eating it, okay, I'm not talking about your mother. If an animal has died and you can eat it, that is a animal product. Beef, lamb, pork, duck, if you're some fancy person. If you're cooking duck at home, fair play here, but that you do not need to do that. Turkey. Turkey's a good one. All these animals that you eat, anything that a vegetarian wouldn't eat, that's good for you. Right? That's good protein. And if you want a high protein diet, which we know is good for you, you need to be making sure that you are getting in your animal proteins. Steak's good. Chicken breasts, steak, eggs, turkey mince, tuna, tinned tuna's good, or tuna steak's good as well. These are my staples. Chicken breast I have every single week. Tuna I have every single week. Eggs I have every single week. Steak, depending on how fruity I'm feeling. If I'm feeling like I've worked hard, we'll slap a big old sirloin. Big Daddy rump steak from Aldi on the barbecue's good, or the King of Steak from Aldi, the 12-ounce sirloin is also very good if you cook it correctly. Now, animal products, we're going to move on to now fruits. So how can you start to get lots of vitamins? Because I guarantee you don't eat any fruit or vegetables and you're like, why am I so pale? Why have I no energy? I've got no energy, I'm so pale, I just feel bleh. Because you don't have any vitamins or minerals, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll try this multivitamin that actually has 0 stuff in it, and they're just selling it to you because you're like, yeah, I'll buy that because it's next to the cashier and Waitrose, or go to fucking Waitrose, what am I talking about, in Aldi or in Tesco's or whatever. Apples, bananas, berries, staples, oranges, vitamin C, right? All these things are carbohydrates, but they are quicker release into your body. So if you need something, if you're feeling a little bit, having an apple or a banana is the sugars in it is gonna bring you, back to life quicker than veg or even oats or anything else like that. Berries are really good because they're easy on the go. You can just boom, 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 grapes, all that sort of stuff. And like I said, veg, you've got starchy veg, so potatoes, carrots. They can be roasted in the air fryer, roasted in the oven, anything like that. You've got courgettes, broccoli, green beans, any green veg is great, just chuck it all in. And then you've also got like salady veg, peppers, tomatoes that you can fry up, make into a sauce. There's so many things. You just need to broaden your mind. You need to stop thinking that you need to buy jarred sauce, right? You know, buy passata, which is a like a tomato paste or tin tomatoes basically, or tin tomatoes, and just put it all in one go. And then it's so easy, so easy. If you want any advice on cooking, then watch MasterChef. Now, as I said, there's a video coming soon about good and bad, like processed, etc. And so the amount of food I eat is due to mostly being good for me. Now, again, there was a study, I'm going to try and find it. There's a study that two bowls of noodles were consumed by people. One was freshly made with flour and water, 2 ingredients, or flour, egg and water, something like that, very limited. How they make it in Asia, okay? And one of them was a processed noodles, such as the ramen packet noodles that you buy, super noodles, pot noodle, that sort of thing. Something that's got 1,700 ingredients in it. The study was that they put a camera into the stomach of the person after, like, different time frames after consuming the noodles. The noodles that were made homemade were then also, they were into a paste within like 2 or 3 hours after consuming, maybe even less than that, 45 minutes to an hour. The noodles that were processed were still string attached in noodle form, something like 6 to 12 hours later. So if you want an example of why low ingredient natural food is digested better, than because that food that's still in noodle shape, it hasn't even been broken down into its components so that it can then be distributed to the body to actually get the benefits of it. But there's no benefits of that. It's just to fill your stomach up, and then you think, my body's not changing, my body's not growing, I've got no energy. It's like, you're not giving your body any energy to use. It breaks it down. It takes all the effort to break it down, and then you just sorry, excuse me. It takes all the energy to break it down, and then you don't actually get anything from it. That is useless. You're not going to get someone to dig a hole all day and then say, sorry, we don't even need that hole. That's not going to be any use to us. At the end of each day, every single day, and that person's like, oh, right. You know, that's what your body's doing. You need to give your body the right tools and the right ingredients so that it can then build. You need to give your body the building blocks so it can build a beautiful house, which is your physique, your body, your lifestyle, a long and fruitful life. If you give your body the shit materials, excuse my French again, if you give your body bad materials, it's going to build a bad house, structurally and aesthetically. Bosh. You put diesel in a petrol engine, it's not going to work properly. You might get something from it, but it's not going to work properly. When you start putting the right fuel into a car, then you're going to get the best from that engine, which is your body. If you start putting natural foods and food that your body can turn into energy and muscle tissue, whatever it is that you're going for, what your goal is, then you will actually get so much more bang for your buck from what you eat. Then you can eat less calories and get way more from it. Instead of, you're like, oh, how do I do 2,000 calories every single day, but it's all of processed stuff that is pretty rubbish for you, doesn't actually get anything from it. Whereas you can eat 1,500 calories and be full if you do it right and you know what you're talking about. If you need any help with that, I'm not actually coaching at the moment, but if you want some help with that, drop me a DM on Instagram. You might be able to sort something out. Quinn Pryor on Instagram, QUINNPRIOR. Make sure you follow up and make sure you subscribe. Actually, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers. Hopefully you like this content. Hopefully this has been quite informative and that you've got a lot from this so far. And that's the sort of the educational part of this. Next we're going to move on to something a bit of a phenomena that I think of quite often actually, or recently I've had a couple of times where I've gone, whoa, and it spins you out. Your brain's like, whoom, and suddenly when you start to, like, I'm very short-minded, short time frames, right? And I don't think of the long term. So I'm very much like, oh, here and now, this is what I need to do, and then it stresses me out, and then I forget about it the next day. Some people look at the long term too much and it stresses them out and causes them ag. Some people don't. Some people are like, hey, right, I need to breathe. Job done. Tick on the box. And then they're like choking because they forget to breathe the second time. Do you see what I'm trying to say? They're like, ding. That's the sort of people. Some people are like that. Oh, my nose hurts. So no, not like that. Anyway, this phenomena is called sonder. The keyword today is sonder. S-O-N-D-E-R. This is the profound feeling of realizing that everyone has a life as complex as one's own. Now, as I said, I have thought about this multiple times. When you're walking around, if you were to go to London, or you go to a big built-up city, and you are walking around there, you have however old you are, years, months, days, you have a bank of memories of stuff that you have experienced on this planet. Whether it's 25, 27 for me, whether it's 30, 50, each person that walks by you, you see them for 2 seconds, and that's your reality. That you've seen them within your reality because you just see what you see. Oh my God! You see what is going on within your immediate vicinity, depending on how far. That's why when people sit in a room for too long, and they don't look long distance, that's why everyone nowadays is short-sighted, because we don't look at hills and mountains. We just look at screens. But each person that walks by you has experienced X amount of years on this same planet, thinking different stuff. And you, how many people would you walk past in a built-up city if you just walk down the main high street or walk down the main street? Thousands. Now, when you start to think about like when I start to think about how much I've experienced and how much you might have experienced, and then each person that you see on the day-to-day is actually has experienced, the same amount of time as they have been alive, it starts to book you out. I'm not really a philosopher, but stuff like this, I've thought about this multiple times, and now I've actually just, the word came up on an app. It's like vocab or something like that. And it was crazy. What I've written, no one has the same experience, but everyone in different capacities goes through the same day-to-day. So if me and my dad were to be in this room right now, we would be experiencing the same reality, we would be experiencing the same room, but we would perceive the room in each of our different ways. If I was short-sighted and he was long-sighted, we'd perceive it in different ways because of our physiological differences. If I was colourblind and he wasn't, I would then experience it differently in a physiological sense. If I was going through something and he was in a good mood, then I might look outside and see it raining and go, I can't be arsed for this. And he then might go, it's raining. We needed to rain. We needed the garden needed a watering, and I can't be bothered to go out and do it. Right? Different perceptions of the same reality depend on each person. Now, I'm trying not to go too in depth into it, but I find it such an odd concept that as soon as you start to think, oh my God, every car that passes you, that person has lived a whole entire life to that up till that moment, and you might not have seen them before, and then you might never ever see them again. But that person you've just gone past each other in this universe. Whoa, I'm booking myself out. It's like two asteroids going past each other within the space, and the chances of that happening. So if you start to deep it like that, and you start to think, right, I'm friends with this person because we get along, we live near each other, whatever it might be. If someone stays within your reality or within your close proximity, it's because you get along with them, or you get something from that. Everyone has their own reality of the world, and they decipher things in their own way. So we might look at an issue, for example, political is just a very easy way of doing it, or a football team, right? You look at one football team, and I look at the same football team, and I hate them and you love them, right? That football team is a thing. Your perception, and you've deciphered that thing in a certain way, and I've deciphered it in another way. Something like an issue with politics. You've got some people who are this on the left, and some people on the right, and some people in the middle. Everyone's perception of something is going to be completely different, right? And they might see something it's I'm trying to do my best to sort of explain this. They might do something that then causes you to feel a certain way, but they don't feel the same, and they don't understand why you feel a certain way, but that's just how you're programmed or how you've been brought up. Anyway, Sonder. I would have a look at it, have a little ponder about Sonder, and let me know what you think about that one. Let me know in the comments if it's something that you've ever thought about, but you've just never known what it actually is, or if it's actually a thing, and it is actually a thing. It's called Sonder, Sonder. Now, one more thing before we then have a little break and then go into current events. So sub 20. So in about just under a month, I'm going to be running a 5k, or attempting to run a 5k in under 20 minutes. I'm feeling very good about it. My only issue is that I've got a very, very tight knee. It's fine now. I haven't run in 2 days because I've been resting. I've still been working, but it's fine at work. But if I run, I can get through the run, but then at work it hurts. So we're not feeling great. But hopefully we're gonna be getting that. It's raining today. I'm meant to be going for a threshold session today, which is 16 minutes at like 4:25, I believe. But it is currently raining, so that might need to wait till later. I'm not sure. I've got some bits and pieces to do today. I woke up. I had some food. I went for a PT session actually at Functional Fitness with Danny Brogan. Danny took me for a really good session. I'm looking to come down to the Friday evening classes, as I'm taking Friday off to do these sort of stuff, so I can push the business forward, whatever that may be, whichever business I decide that is needed to be done. So today woke up PT. Good for networking, good for motivation. The gym's great, the classes look really good, and it's something, calisthenics is something that I've never done before properly, so going somewhere where I can be pushed through a session is ideal. Then I went straight from there to get a haircut. You know what I'm saying. I did actually twinge my back in the warm-up at the PT, but that's just... Anyway, and then got home, made some food. This has been planned for a little bit, and then had a call with my friend from university, Greg, who's actually started a very new and very cool physio brand with a couple of his mates, and I'm looking to start building a relationship with them to do some videography and their content strategy, and to help them build that up so they can continue to scale that business. So I'm really excited about that now that I went through it with him. It's great to speak to him, and also went through everything. So that's going to be exciting. So I'm buzzing for that. And then literally just filmed this. And it's only 2:30. So a lot of things that I wanted to do. My room's a shithole. My room's looks like a bomb's gone off, like my mother would say. And yeah, so we're having it off. We're doing really well. And I feel good. It's nice to have Fridays off. I'm working tomorrow, which isn't ideal, and then I'm playing golf Sunday. Maybe it's raining, but maybe I'll get some footage for the Swell golfers, Instagram and YouTube. Anyway, we're going to take a quick little break while I make sure that the camera's all good, and then we're going to go into some current events. Okay, we're back. I just had a short break. I'm going out for a run in a minute, so I had some rice cakes with some honey on it. So we're going to go into some current events. I'm going to go through a couple of bits and pieces that's coming up. I'm going to go through a bit of Russia-Ukraine, and I'm going to go through some funny America stuff, because America is just funny, isn't it? So, Rachel Reeves, the Wicked Witch of the UK, wants to cut down cash ISAs, so that it's even harder to retire and have the heating on. So, at the moment, you have a £20,000 a year ISA allowance for cash ISAs, so equities and cash, but also stocks and shares that you can then invest. They want people to invest their money in the stocks and shares, which will then obviously boost the economy, because cash, realistically, it really isn't good for anyone, but at the same time it is, because banks use this to loan the money for houses, mortgages, etc. So it does keep. So I think there is benefits of it. I just don't think that changing the tax-free allowance from 20 grand to 3 or 4 grand is fucking ridiculous. It just seems as though she just wants all this money because it's just cutting everything. It's just crazy. So what it says on the actual thing is that she wants to drop it to 4,000. In 2017 it was brought up from 4 to 20, but it was £3,000. So there's almost 300 billion sitting in cash ISAs. A lot of people don't realise that cash realistically is not a good investment because inflation is fucking ridiculous. Excuse my French. Inflation is crazy at the moment, and you know, you could have some cash in a bank account that's not earning any interest, and it's worth way less in a year's time. Even if you have 5%, inflation is it's almost half of that. So it's just putting money in stocks and shares. I use Trading 212. I've got money in stocks and shares. I don't have any money in cash. Don't listen to my my actual trades, because at the moment I'm down a lot because I saw it as betting. So don't do that. But anyway, so have a look at what they're doing to ISAs, because if you're not putting money into ISAs now, and you don't actually, and you run your own business and you don't have some form of pension, you're going to get screwed over if they can turn this over, if they can make this happen, which is not ideal. And another thing, government finance is in surplus, but pressure builds on Reeves. So she set some targets to basically for spending in the UK. We're actually in a surplus. So the surplus is the difference between what the government spends and the tax it takes in. Obviously, 15 billion in January in tax. Fuck. It's crazy that we get taxed that much. Anyway, so the main rules that she's bringing in to stabilise the UK economy: day-to-day government costs will be paid for by tax income rather than borrowing. Yeah, let's stop borrowing fake money that is just printed out of fucking thin air, and stop giving it to other countries and then also having to then borrow. We print and give money. I saw a TikTok, it was so funny. It was like the amount of stupid things that we put money into and give money away for no reason. All they are is money laundering and just people trying to make money in other parts of the world through getting contracts through the UK government, or the US does the same thing. It's just crazy. You know, if your mate goes out to a country and says, I'm setting this up, and you're in the government, it's like, chuck me a loan. I want to go out and do this for charity or for something, and you can authorise it. You're going to do it because it's your mate. But at the same time, that's not good. And people are doing that. And you need to, if you look into where the money is actually going to, what we actually should be spending money on, and the fact that we're still having to borrow money is crazy. Right, that is fucking boring, and I'm never doing that again. I apologise for how boring that was. Anyway, let's get into a little bit more interesting. Russia versus Ukraine. Woohoo! So you've probably seen a lot about this. You might know a little bit. You might know next to nothing about it. So obviously, Russia-Ukraine has been going on for a while. 2014, Russia. Dogs are barking. Fuck off. Russia basically took Crimea, caused a bit of a storm, and then basically Zelensky in 2019, just before COVID, came into power. Now Zelensky is a very a fellow that's good on camera. Now he's a Ukrainian politician, but then also on his Wikipedia, screenwriter, actor, comedian, and director. He's been the president of Ukraine since 2019, just pre-COVID. He literally, in 2015, he literally starred in a television series about being the servant of the people, the leader of Ukraine. He was in a television series, and then he applied because he knew so much about it by reading the script. Crazy. His 5-year deal was due to end in May 2024, but elections have now been suspended since the war broke out more, and stuff's been ramping up. And if I was to look at May 2024, just before the start of last year, if we was to look at what the US government were doing, it would probably be something to do with giving Ukraine a shit ton of weapons and basically giving them the green light to start attacking Russia. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know. I'm just a silly bloke who doesn't know anything. But if you have a look for yourself, it probably is something to do with that, because the US have installed Zelensky to be a puppet so that they can have him on their side. But then, to be fair to Russia, they would do exactly the same thing. They would. The reason why they want him out before they have any peace talks, which is something I just saw, they want him out so that they can then have peace talks. But they won't do it with Zelensky because they know that Zelensky is in bed with the Americans, because the Americans have literally been sapping the US of all their money and sending it like 5.5 billion, probably more than that actually, probably more like 10 billion pounds of US aid has been sent to Ukraine, while there's veterans and there's a homeless issue in the US and there's all these issues in the US, but they want to make sure they solidify their backing of Ukraine, because Ukraine is a very, very geographically is a very good piece to have as part of NATO, because it's extremely close to Russia, and it's one of the last territories that Russia gave up when it came to the breakup of the Soviet Union in around 91, something like that. So yeah, Zelensky is literally a comedian and an actor. And he is the president of the Ukraine, who are basically pleading, we need more money, please, please, please. But also Biden has ties to Ukraine with his son, his crackhead son, who smokes crack and takes photos of him with prostitutes, guns to their head, all this sort of stuff. He was getting paid exorbitant amounts of money to be on the board of a energy company in the Ukraine. For the last couple of years, I think he was earning like 50 grand a month in US dollars, to be an advisor on a board of something that he has no reason to be an advisor on. And he came out of being an absolute degenerate to be a slight degenerate, but earning a bit more money. And it was obviously because his dad was the VP at the time, and now he is, or potentially, the ex-VP, been the president, I don't think he did much, but stand on the stage. The American people, I love ice cream. That's literally what he was basically doing for the last year of his, stint. But anyway, it's just a massive joke. The world is a joke. But then if Putin basically, they're called coups. So when basically a nation who wants to control a certain area, they will basically get rid of the person who's in charge and install their own person who will bend the knee so America is a big one, and Russia is also another big one. That's why there's the Cold War, lots of things going on. Now it seems as though that the American government, the Democrats in the American government, or just the American government, have installed Zelensky. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like, I don't know anything, but that's what it seems like to me. And Putin knows that because the US are giving absorbent amounts of money to the Ukraine, to Zelensky every time he asks, even though there's problems in the US, and also that Putin is not going to have peace talks with Zelensky because he knows that he's not talking to Zelensky, he's not talking to the Ukraine, he's talking to the US through Zelensky. But Putin will then basically just find someone who's a communist, or someone who has communist background, which a lot of those countries, obviously being part of the Soviet Union, will have, and he will then control them, because as long as he can control the Ukraine and have them on his side, they won't join NATO, which means that he then has a much better grip and control of the East, which I think, I don't know, the two areas that Russia invaded, the Crimea was basically theirs in the first place, and they have a better shot. They have a much more, much stronger argument. It is theirs. But Donbass that's a little bit like, but it was basically Russian-backed insurgents. It wasn't technically the Russian army, I don't think. Again, I don't know what about that. But anyway, yeah, it's just a big game of puppets. So if you didn't know about Ukraine, hopefully this has given you a little bit more insight into what's going on. I just saw actually that Putin speaks out about Trump and Ukraine peace talks for the first time. That's one thing. But then also, that was 1 day ago. 3 hours ago, fears Russia plotting huge Ukraine offensive and Putin eyeing Norway land grab. So, yeah, it's all kicking off. So anyway, we're gonna move on from that. If there is anything, again, I'm just a stupid idiot who knows nothing. Anyway, we've got two things to finish off. And this is the section called America. So in this, we go through some funny stories that are in America. I'm pretty sure. So this one is this is a plane crash that happened at an American Delta airline. This is pretty much what happened. Are you ready? I'm going to put this on the screen for you so you can see. So we're coming into land. Oh, hopefully this lands nicely. Whoa! Flips to the side. Literally flips to the side. Wing falls off. It rolls onto its top. That is absolutely crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Ah! And then they're literally flipping over, and then they're just like, and then you just have the gas mask go. Crazy. Okay, let's pause that. The amount of plane crashes in the US, it is scary to think. I listen to a lot of comedians' podcasts, and the way they fly a lot, obviously, for the shows on the weekends and stuff, and there's been like 4 in the past 2 weeks of American planes going down, which is absolutely bonkers. Like, you hope the more time that goes past, or the more time that passes, the less crashes there are, and literally it seems as though in the last couple of months, or in the last 6 months, there's been so many crashes. It really does make you think oh my god, this is just horrendous. It's not what we want to see. Now, plane flipping over, everyone survived, and every passenger, Delta, who did it, or whose plane it was, every passenger was gaining 30 grand USD. It's equivalent to about 2.2 million pounds. Now, I don't know, I think they're doing that just to shut everyone up so they don't actually fully sue them, because maybe there was something wrong, maybe they didn't do the checks, maybe because the right wing literally hit the ground. So I don't know if it was loose, I don't know, I'm not a bloody aviation expert, but I think that's something just to, if they take the 30 and then sue as well, then they might be like, well, you ain't getting that 30. But I think it's just to be like, shut up. You survived. Hey, did anybody die? No? Shut your mouth. That's pretty much what they're saying. They're going, here's 30 grand. Get the fucking house you wanted, or just spend it on crack. Either way, you'll be happy, alright? Buy that fucking car that you wanted. But just do not sue. Because if you sue, we will come crashing down on you. That's basically what they're saying. And to finish off, the happy story. So, a woman, a Canadian woman, she was in Turks and Caicos. Is it Turks and Caicos? Turks and Caicos Beach. Which is somewhere in America. And she decided, you know when you're younger and you go, I got your nose, to a baby, and you're like this, and they go, oh, good. So she tried to do that with a shark, and the shark bit both her hands off. So if you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. In this case, no hands. You get nubs, right? Now, she suffered severe injuries. She got bitten on the leg and her hands bitten off. I believe all of her, like her whole hands. She was basically wading in shallow waters. She was 55, and she attempted to engage, in quotations, the shark. If you're attempting to engage anything, you shouldn't be a 55-year-old Canadian woman. If you were to engage somebody on the street in a fashion that's going to antagonise them, you shouldn't be a 55-year-old woman. Now, just think that instead of a person that she's antagonising on a street, which is where people are, on land, they're pretty in their natural habitat. That's what I'm trying to say. A shark, is it in its natural habitat in the water? Yes, it is. And she's out of her natural habitat. She's trying to take photos of a shark by engaging. Come here, doggy. Come here, doggy. Ah, my hands are gone. I can't do a Canadian accent. I can do American. Can't do Canadian. Husband tried to fight off the shark. He's going, "You stupid idiot! What are you doing?" while fighting the shark off. He's like, "I told you not to take pictures of that bloody dog." Continued to circle and try and bite the woman again. Yeah, there's blood in the water. Absolutely. The Turks and Caicos Islands are known for their healthy marine environment. Yeah, that shark's had some extra protein that day. Some Canadian woman's hands. Right, anyway, have a good one. That's all for you today. Goodbye.